This is the rivalry that forged the OPL and divided players and fans. In recent times, the trophy has eluded these two clubs, but tonight, both will want to send a warning to the rest of the competition, that they will be the last ones standing. In the gauntlet, Legacy took the competition by surprise, storming to within 2 games of a grand final appearance. And it was once again the Chiefs that stood in their way.
In 4 games, the Chiefs have now broken the base and looking to push for the win.
For the Chiefs, this is all about redemption. 2 games up in the Split 1 final, that heartbreaking loss will have fueled them to come out swinging.
And it looks like the Direwolves are absolutely rinsing the Chiefs.
All of these members so disappointed.
Tonight we find out if the Chiefs can replicate their dominating Split 1 form, or if Legacy can reverse their fortunes against their oldest foe. It's the El Classic OPL, it's Chiefs versus Legacy.
Hello and welcome back to the OPL. Day 1, of course, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. We just saw Mammoth absolutely decimate Bombers in our first matchup of the night. However, we still have another one to go. It's going to be OPL Classico as Chiefs take on the Legacy Esports lineup. I'm still Spawn. This is still Ejim.
We're much closer, though.
We are.
We're friendlier, you know.
It's cozy.
Yeah, we're just getting to know each other. But no, Legacy versus Chiefs is kind of a matchup for the ages. We've seen it many times. And of course, in the Gauntlet was the last time these two faced. But Legacy were making a huge run, and Chiefs just turned it around.
Yeah, once again, 2 rosters that are relatively the same. I mean, Legacy did swap out their jungle position. However, everything else amongst them looking relatively similar.
Fantix does leave Chiefs as the coach. Of course, they bring over Doric, but unfortunately, I think something to do with VG is not currently on stage, so he not in Australia, so he won't be with the team on stage here today. But walking past, he was talking to the boys over some form of voice communication that we rudely interrupted as we walked through. So, yeah, interesting to see what the Chiefs look like, because I feel like coming into this split, right, a lot of people like doing the power rankings, bit of a meme on Twitter, but Chiefs coming second, all of a sudden Direwolves replaced Chippies, who did just look good in that game with someone like Biopanther untested. All of a sudden Chiefs, I feel like, should be the top dogs, right? They came second behind the Direwolves. Direwolves a bit weaker. Are they at the same point?
I mean, completely valid argument if that's the way you want to go. However, I think that until someone beats the Direwolves, Direwolves remain on top. They haven't lost very much in the last 18 months. However, before we break down this game further, let's throw it over to the analyst hangout.
Can you be beaten? That's my question.
Yes. All right, I'm not going to be...
Lack of confidence in the team.
No. I'm not going to be the Schoenfire overly cocky guy. We can be beaten.
Yeah.
But it will take a lot.
By no one in Australia. So that's the caveat.
I mean, yeah. You can go with that. You can go with that storyline. We could have for Split 1. We did for Split 1.
Yeah, right. So we are back. We're going to be running another competition coming out. I just want to quickly shout out Fogarty and Hale Peaks. I see you in the chat, and I love you too. And also Doylip says, Mammoth better make this 2-0 for my tip's sake. Congratulations. I hope you go on to bigger and better things in the next round. We are going to be also running a catchphrase competition coming up. So what I want you guys to do is, when I think esports, I think of those great moments where a massive play happens and there's thousands of people in a stadium and suddenly casters go insane. And in that moment, you're coming up with like something to say. And I think that sometimes it can be challenging. And I don't want to besmirch you two and your incredible skills talking off the cuff. I think you're wonderful and you do a great job. But you could have a little help. So I want to get some crowdsourced catchphrases from the chat. Use the hashtag IamOPL for something, when a big play happens, what's something unique that these guys can scream out, top of their lungs, lots of energy, real solid performance is what we're looking for here. Let's keep it clean. But you know, let's not make it too easy on them. These guys are
Australian. It should be an Australian.
An Australian phrase.
Australian.
I like that because it's something that if it catches on and it ends up in Worlds or something, then that's something where the rest of the world is like, what the hell are these guys talking
I'm
about?
a big fan of, like, I can't remember who said it, but they said it's an absolute shellacking. Was that you, Spawn? I think Spawn. I'm a big fan of that personally.
Yeah.
So
okay. So
I think that pops off.
There's your starting base. I just got a note in my ear saying, "What about my Kiwi brothers?" And to which I say, no. Yeah, let me know in chat using the hashtag IamOPL over the next series of games. And like I said, let's keep it clean. Let's keep it clean. Let's make it not about Infernal Drake, but also these guys are professional, so let's make it complicated. They can wrap their mouths around anything. So, which, now that I think about it, is probably not the kind of catchphrase that I would have passed on in the first place. So let's just put it right back to the desk.
Thank you, I think.
You can't say keep it clean and then throw it back on that note. What is that?
I mean, apparently you can,
We
because
just
you
did.
did. Shellacking, good one. I also like we're not here to put boots on caterpillars. That's one of
Oh.
my favourite catchphrases.
Okay, I've
However,
heard spiders, but not
no, there's a more like rough version
Oh,
of the
actually, no,
spiders one.
yeah,
there certainly
yeah.
is. So once
Oh.
again, let's keep it clean for the chat.
Shellacking also has a meaning, though.
Yeah,
shellacking.
it's a real word.
No, but like you reserve shellacking for like.
Oh, yeah, a stomp under 25 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, you don't try and steal my stuff.
Yeah, come on,
However,
come on,
let's
guys.
get back into this head-to-head. It's going to be Legacy Esports taking on the Chiefs Esports Club, and we're going to start off with the Chiefs. It's going to be the Armored Titan, Big Doss, Swiper up in the top lane, Babip, their jungler, Ryoma, superstar mid laner, Raze, and Destiny are the two best team fighting bottom lanes, I think, in the OPL. And of course, they're going up against old foe Legacy, Mimic, their Korean import, only their new jungler, Claire. My comment for the MVP of Split 1 of the OPL, Raid and Decoy down there in the bottom lane, of course, Coach Soul Strikes, going to be the big brain behind this organization. And I think that when we have a look at Legacy, this is a team that I expect to get better. They were very new last split. They've brought in my opinion, and upgraded in the jungler position. I expect this team to take the next step.
Absolutely. I feel like if you look at the content they released like prior to this game, their bot lane talked about that they think they underperformed, whereas I think Mimic and Claire had very good splits. Claire overall much better. Mimic really ramped it up towards the end. And I think Sybil in the jungle was very hit and miss. He could be very good on Kha'Zix.
And what Bryce means by very hit and miss is he seemed to underperform against every other team apart from my team, in which case he came out and like absolutely destroyed Order time and time again.
And
so thank you, Lockie. That was very
You should be
appreciated.
thankful that 8.11 removed the stealth, because Lockie, Sybil, is the guy that's going to pick Kha'Zix, and he will stealth to your Nexus and kill someone.
Absolutely.
And then, unfortunately, next time he does it, he'll stealth to the Nexus and he will die. And that's what I mean up and down. And then only, I feel like they chose to bring only in, obviously from AV, played on Avant-Garde last split, bringing him up. So he's been around for a fairly long time now. But isn't necessarily like a huge vocal member of the team. But I feel like when you have a bot lane like Raid and Decoy, Claire, I think is kind of stepping up in this iteration of Legacy as a more vocal member and more of a team, and it makes a lot of sense.
And I think that the one thing that I was impressed from only was that if you gave him a game plan, he would go out early on in the game and he would execute. And I think that a coach that has always been able to do that with his team, always been able to set down good jungle pathing, and be able to get his team into the mid game, has been Soul Strike. So interested to see how Only now performs in what is a legacy machine.
And that'll be interesting, because I feel like Legacy is a much more structured team than Avant. I feel like Avant oftentimes is kind of all over the place, and Soul Strike strikes me as a coach who often, or not often, but sometimes even to a fault, just picks one thing.
It's his way or the highway. You can
they
tell they play Soul
absolutely.
Strike's League of Legends.
Yeah, they do not have a democracy. They have a dictatorship coaching structure. So when it was lost, it was like, Claire, sorry, mate, you're playing Karma, and that was it. And now, like, Claire gets a lot of their resources. So it'll be interesting to see how Only fits into that. And when you talk about him as a player, that if you give him a game plan, then he does succeed, then you feel like that should be a very nice fit for him.
Yeah, you certainly do. And the success to taking down the Chiefs last split seemed to be in that mid-jungle duo. Both Babip and Ryoma, incredibly talented players, cannot take anything away from these young gentlemen. They press keys better than most people in the OPL. However, are inexperienced and do like to take it to 2v2s. So a lot of pressure is going to be on Only and Claire. And I think that Ryoma and Babip have that potential to really cement themselves as the new, like, Spooks and Swiffer duo, because that's historically how the Chiefs have liked to play.
And when it doesn't work out, it's how they lost the grand final, basically. Direwolf started, instead of a lot of teams in the gauntlet would like, Swiper, Swiper, Swiper. We're going to kill Swiper, put him down, and hope the bot lane doesn't take over the match, which seemed to be Chiefs' game plan. And as we take a look at Big Swips' very nice new tattoo, it's not completed yet, by the way. Inside Goss, it's getting coloured and shaded.
Yeah,
but hasn't done it yet.
So 3 champions so far. There is Anar on the upper outside of his bicep.
We're looking at Maokai.
There is a
right
Maokai
now.
on the inside, and that is Tryndamere down below. It is quite a nice tattoo.
If you're a true OPL fan, you know all about Swiper Tryndamere.
Yeah, you know all about his Maokai as well as his Nar, more recent. However, Tryndamere Twisted Fate used to be like the old school Chiefs comp, of course, the 4 stars on his jersey representing the splits.
He's so happy with himself.
He is.
He's showing it off. Hell yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, tattoos are cool.
Mate, you got a new tattoo. You haven't showed it off. You're wearing long sleeves.
I was at MSI.
I
showed it off there.
Okay,
so,
sorry,
yeah.
mate. Just MSI joke. That's fine. I wasn't there.
Taking a look at Vivek as well, top laner of Legacy. This guy's the Enigma, because I think he's good.
Yeah.
I actually think he's better than good. I think he's a very good top laner. And then you talk to other teams, and some teams don't rate him as highly. So wonder to see which Mimic shows up.
I feel like I've heard Pabu say he doesn't rate Mimic that highly. And then, of course, I actually live with Carbon, and he's like, no, Mimic is the best thing to ever grace top lane ever. And I feel like a lot of players say that he's incredible, and then on stage, you just don't see the mimic that you see in scrims, which is unfortunate. In the Gauntlet, we saw a glimpse of that. He was definitely stepping up, but hopefully as time goes on, we see like a more consistent performance out of Legacy.
Yeah, it certainly will, as we are still waiting for these guys to get onto Summoner's Rift for game number 1. Remember, guys, if you see an Infernal Drake, make sure that when it is slain, you head over to the website, you enter your details. It will be down the bottom of the screen. 100 arcane brands to give away. Actually, it's 1,000 of them. 100's a little bit too few. 1,000 Battle Bros brand. 1,000 per game that we're giving away. That's a lot of brands.
That is a lot of... If this is like the entire split, that is... Everyone I know is just getting a bloody brand skin.
Yeah, certainly. It's for this weekend only, so make sure you tuned in. You tapping away at that one. Oh, you watch. We're going to go home, and there is just going to be an influx of brand bottom lanes. We're just running around solo queue.
You've seen brand 80 carry in solo queue. Not even like brand support, like, oh, I'm going to do tons of damage, but it's just literally like Bard, Brand, Aframo, and like CLG Auto, I think. I've been spamming it, seen highlights all over my Twitter feed. But we haven't seen an Infernal yet.
No, we
haven't. We saw triple Air Drake in the first game.
And then we saw another Air in 2 mountains.
Yeah.
Like real
What's
boring Drakes.
Come on.
Give me the Rejuve Drake because that makes laning phase real fun. Or give me the Fire Drakes because then people get one hit.
Does Rejuve Drake make laning phase real fun?
Well, it does for one team, and for one team it makes it real miserable.
Yeah. That's a bit cruel. I just like Infernal Drakes. It's more damage.
Yeah,
it's more fun. More like
bigger numbers get on the screen, the more excited I get.
Like, yeah, you play MMOs and the tickers are just enormous.
What do you think about Legacy's jersey? They've gone away from the white. They've gone back to the historic black jersey.
I love it.
I'm a big fan of their jersey.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. Also, like Claire, who wears the sleeves, I think it looks real good. But I'm a big fan of like the black jersey as opposed to the white.
So a lot of the players on Legacy are currently rocking the sleeves. I don't blame them. There's a reason we wear jackets in this venue.
It's a bit chilly.
And it is... You think outside is cold. I'm a Melburnian. I'm used to real crazy weather.
I'm a Canberran.
Yeah.
It's colder than Melbourne.
That's actually, you got a lake and stuff in the middle of your town. You're not from, you're like from out of Canberra.
I am from Canberra.
Yeah.
You can't make fun of me off broadcast for being from Canberra and then on broadcast be like, you're not from Canberra.
But you haven't been to Ben Spoke, so you know, they're not going to want to talk about it. Take a look at Tommy on your screen right now. Try and get an update on how long it's going to be into this game. We are still dealing with a peripheral issue, guys, so game has been delayed slightly.
Someone didn't charge their mouse.
You reckon that's what it is?
Nah, probably not.
It's
first game of the season. Surely you're
ready. Is it the G703 that just has
like the new like wireless mouses?
Well, 703 is a wireless one, isn't it?
I have no idea.
All the Logitech users use?
I have absolutely no idea. I use the wired one. I was like one of those guys that when I was a pro player, I just didn't trust the wireless.
Yeah.
Somebody told me like backstage at a tournament that like with all the lights and everything going on, like he's like, "Oh, just use the wire if you're used to it." And I was like, "Hell yeah, I'm going to use the wire."
So just random sound guy has
like
influence.
Okay, I'm like professional League of Legends player, like not technical. Like I know the game, but I'm like not all about the gear. This is a tech guy, and he's like,
do you
hey,
know
dude,
the interaction between Rylai's and the Adrian?
Yeah, I do. It amplifies damage when you CC. Absolutely. Check that out. Off the cuff immediately. The big question this game for me, though, it's an audio issue. It's not a mouse issue.
Oh, no. So the peripheral issue was solved.
Oh, no. It's an,
and now we've moved on to issue number 2.
Come on.
As we see Raid there. I think one of the big surprises of Split 1, Raid, had the Korean boot camp, obviously came over from Abyss, and Raid and Decoy, 2 relatively unknown players in big moments.
It was Decoy's first split. Like, he played on Regicide, but played only a few weeks, so this was his real, like, only...
Because Regicide, of course, went through 3 supports. They went through K-pop as well as Decoy, and then finally landed on Chenchuan, the Alistar one trick.
Yep. Oh, you played a Rakan game? He looked pretty good on Rakan.
I mean, Rakan is literally good Alistar. So what I would hope he would be able to do it. They put the 2 buttons of Alistar into the 1 button of Rakan.
Yeah, what is that?
That's real annoying when they do that.
Yeah. It's like a... Yeah, I don't know. I had an example and I'm just completely blanking. There's like a support champion and I'm like, man, like, Blitzcrank Hook is literally like your entire kit. And I'm just blanking on what it is.
Okay, Blitzcrank Hook is
your
entire kit.
I don't know.
Like
I don't know.
Pike,
I've lost
he throws a dagger at
someone. No, Pike's brand. No, not Pike. Pike's brand. Speaking of like Mammoth just played Kuden. He like literally for the last week he's just been like monstering me on Pike. Like every time I queue up I get Kuden on Pike and I die. And that's been my life.
Is it fun to play against?
No, because I don't get to have fun because I'm picking like Karma and he's playing Pike. I'm like, oh yeah, I got a Cogmore. Like I'm gonna scale. I'm gonna keep him alive. Build a Crucible. You know, like feel real cool, and then I just die.
We don't see many Crucibles anymore.
Yeah, there's not that much hard CC. Like Crucible is most seen in like a utility AD carry meta, and that's not what we're in right now. We have Kai'Sa, we have Cogmore. things like that. I
Because the
love
big thing
Ash
is
meta.
that a lot of the hard CC that is now available is actually suppression.
Yeah.
Which Crucible
or
is
knock
useless
up.
against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, that feels bad.
Yeah, so like it's all on, which is like a knock up and stuff. Unless you got the best synergy ever, like I'm going to Crucible
Yeah.
you, you're going to flash.
Yeah.
Not really all that helpful.
There's also like, yeah, like 2 phase CCs.
Yeah.
With like Zoe sleep, and then obviously Ornn applies like the slow, and then you're like, oh, do I want to Crucible the slow and then dodge the Ornn, like the Ram, or do I Crucible the knock up? Doesn't really work. But speaking of like utility 80 carries, we're talking about Raid. He is a player that excels in a utility 80 carry mode.
Yep.
And that's not what we've seen.
Big Jhin player.
Yeah, big Jhin, big Ash. Really impressed me in the past as well. So see what the 80 carry meta shapes up to be. I feel like 8.11 is a bit of an outlier. I feel like as we progress further on in the season, we're going to see much different
But I don't know,
things.
right? Because we keep hearing about all these OP picks. We just saw 2 games that weren't really shaped by that at all.
Yeah.
We saw very standard play coming out. We've seen things like Brand running around in solo queue, and everyone's like, it's due to the itemization changes. Like, the itemization is now bad. And it's like, but you don't have items in laning phase. So it has nothing to do with the itemization changes, because if it was itemization only, you would still destroy them in the laning
wanna
phase.
know
So
the
there
secret,
obviously must be something else there.
The secret.
Is when good players play something, it always looks good.
It's that 80 carries are whingy crybabies.
That's not the secret
As soon
at
as
all.
their role gets nerfed, they just, you know, spit the dummy. I'm not playing 80 carry anymore. I'm playing Ornn.
No, the problem is that something appears strong, right?
Mm.
And then you give it to the best in the world.
And give them time to like play against it. And
But it's not a professional setting, right? So people are looking at Ruler and stuff like that at the moment, and they're like, he is destroying people in solo queue. And then I look up the game he's against, and it's like random 80 carry
Master
1.
tier, like, yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool, yeah, he did really well. Next game example, like Faker's playing bottom lane, and it's like, okay, he's off roll. Like, show
He's
me...
still pretty good.
Yeah, still pretty good. But show me Ruler versus, like, proper 80 carry support duo.
Yeah,
and then I'll start believing.
And I 100% agree. I feel like Lucian Braum, I'm surprised we haven't seen already. Especially if teams are going to play standard 80 carries, then I feel like Lucian, Essence Reaver, Bork, like those buffs are absolutely huge. And especially maybe for like a bot lane like Raze and Destiny on your screen right now, who are or do want to claim themselves as like one of the more aggressive bottom lanes in the OPL. But like that would stand up very well to like a tank of the bot lane for me.
Zyra Khan, very hard to get on. A lot of early game pressure. I see that duo is something that could potentially help shut it down as well, especially given the untargetable nature of the ultimate.
And I think it's kind of a product of it being off-season, right? Like after MSI, there's no competitive tournaments. Like this is one of the first regions that's playing on this patch, or literally the first. And OS has always been, I said it earlier, a region that looks up to Korea incredibly. But like the best players in OS always just like watch Korean VODs. They're like, oh, what's Faker doing? What's Ruler doing? What's Prey building? Blah, blah, blah. And so because Korea hasn't started, the fact that OS players aren't willing to that like experiment incredibly highly, like that doesn't surprise me in all honesty.
Do you know the one that I saw in a Reddit thread that I was like, I want to try that, and we're going to play tonight?
Oh, okay, hit me with it.
It's Zillion Viger.
Oh.
So hear me out, right?
Okay.
So you speed Viger up. He runs up and
Locks
puts
him
the
in a
baby
cage,
cage down,
yeah.
right? Zillion Bomb is the perfect
Oh, in the middle.
diameter of the middle of that. So then you throw two in, then Dark Matter comes down, and then you blow them up,
There
and
is
done.
The only flaw in this otherwise perfect plan is that you're speeding up the Vega, which means he's getting away from you to get the cage down, which means you're too far away to put your bombs in the cage.
Nah, it's fine.
No?
We can make this work.
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about. I heard about like Yorick Zillion ages ago,
Where you put bombs on the
bombs
ghouls?
on the ghoul, yeah, and like he just runs them in, and they just go like suicide into the enemy. You blow them up.
Like Twitch Zillion as well, where you put the first one on him invisible, then he runs up to them, and then you throw the second one, instant stun. You don't see the second. Oh, there's so much, Bryce.
What about Yi Tarek? When's Yi Tarek coming into the OPL meta?
I don't think it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not.
The day that happens, I want to see a full hard carry comp. I want to see like Coin Kale top lane,
Oh, I don't.
Coin Tarek mid lane, feed all of the farm onto Yi, and like just 3 jungle and 2 waves of farm. Just watch him take over.
How can is that possible? Is it possible to farm like that much?
Who knows?
I don't think it is.
Who cares? We're into Champions League. Game number 1. It's OPL Classico Chiefs taking on Legacy Esports. New nice black jerseys, I'm sure, available on the Legacy website. Very nice there. It's going to be Braum as well as Aurelia taken off the board. Camille going to follow.
She hits the bench again. We haven't seen an Aurelia yet.
She's
Obviously,
broken.
Yeah.
She is,
and everyone
she
agrees.
is close to like grossly OP that I've seen in the game for a long time.
She can be played everywhere.
Yeah, if you can be played in 3 roles successfully, you're too strong.
And everyone agrees with you, Jake.
Thank
gonna be
goodness. About
every
time
single-
everyone got on the hype train.
Oh, yeah, okay. Every single game we've seen today has been the ban. Rakan will be underway again. We've seen
Yeah,
a few
against the
support
Chiefs.
bans.
Against the Chiefs.
That makes a
Why
lot of
would
sense.
you not do that against the Chiefs?
Absolutely hit. See what they do want to draft. This is a very slow draft compared to the first game between the other two we saw.
Well, the problem is that no one knows exactly what's going on in the draft right now, Bryce.
Oh,
So
also,
what do you actually ban?
I think the bigger deal is that they just sat in that room for about, what, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And once you're in the room, you know, like Chiefs, their coach isn't in the room and they've had time to mull over the draft, they're like, oh, no, like, I've just figured out why our comp sucks.
Oh,
And, you know,
no.
and they're like, oh, I've got to adjust on the fly. And now they're banning Ezreal instead of banning Aatrox.
Varus or something.
And then it's a disaster.
Yeah, I would like to see Aatrox come back.
We saw Aatrox in the LPL, didn't we?
Yeah. Actually, a real fun champion.
Yeah.
Because the fact that he's passive now builds up with auto attacks, but he's on a shorter cooldown because of that. So it used to just be like, you know, GA. But now it's good.
Waiting for the Maokai hover. 3, 2. Oh, oh. He went Tryndamere, he went nah. But
Babip.
we've seen Talia bans. We haven't seen Talia played. So, of course, she lost all of her AoE. Can't wave clear in the mid lane, and that's literally all she did. She just pushed the wave in and went elsewhere. So, all of a sudden, her clear speed is fine.
But this is so telling to where the Chiefs currently put their strength because Talia is such a strong jungler on the current patch. Potentially can play it in multiple roles as well if Ryoma still wants to pick it up. I don't know if that's the case. It's going to be Mimic just grabbing his gangplank. 100% win rate on that champion. Quinn's got a different hairstyle.
He does. He spiked it up. That's more hair than we saw with him last time. He just shaved it off in the offseason. He went full Shernfire.
He certainly did.
Just got rid of it. Went full Jake Spawn Tiberi.
As Bryce pats me like a little puppy. It's going to be only picking up the graves as well. Why are you giggling?
That was just weird.
What? Patting me?
Yeah. Do they lock in the Alistar? They do. Okay, this might just be... If they lock in a Bruiser bot lane, like Alistar is the one you pair with him, right?
Yeah,
like he has hard CC and that's on. That's a bot lane.
Potentially. Swiper also likes
yes,
Ornn.
but I'm going to gamble. That's a bot lane.
You reckon?
Yeah. He's nodding his head. Huge smile on Destiny's face. That is a bot lane. 100%.
But see, this is like...
Tahm Kench.
I'm going to... okay, Tahm Kench, that's fine, right? But how does... If you play this lane, why wouldn't you just play Caitlyn Janna?
Yeah.
Like, how does this... If this is actually a bottom lane, how does this lane ever survive a Caitlyn Janna? Alistar already sucked into that.
It's just a knife's edge. Because it's very risky to pick Caitlyn Janna. Because, like, cancelling the combo... Canceling, like, because Ali will get level 3, and then he'll just run at you. And if you Q wrong on the Janna, then you die. Like, 100%. As soon as you blow flash, you can't step up. You can't be that one that, like, stands in between Alistar and your AD carry.
But what damage follows up? So the reason that you die in every other iteration of this is
like,
because an AD carry is hitting you.
Yep.
But Ornn is like waiting to put a pillar down and then has to charge you, then has to
swing
blow
his
hot
hammer
air
around,
at you.
breathe some fire, you know.
Like, I don't understand how you kill a Janna with this because then she just tornadoes your Ornn. Like, she's going to hit one of them with it.
Yeah, they're pretty big. Like,
surely.
Statistically, she's going to hit a champion.
And then surely you just get pushed in after your rally stacks are gone, and then they take your turret, then they go top, they take that turret, and then you're just done.
Ultimately, I think it comes more down to jungle matchups.
It's not about bottom lane at all.
No, like, actually, because, like, if your jungler has the priority, suddenly they push in bot side and you're just throwing your pen around everywhere. Kalista, very interesting, but I'm going to finish my point. But if you're Talia, who clears very quickly, bullies out the Graves, takes the Scuttle Crab, all of a sudden, you're Kate Janna, you can't push. So Ornn's just getting free through the laning phase. Ali gets to level up without being punished early, and
now
then they have that all-in potential.
Once
But
again,
this...
let's talk about this. So, like,
It's
Zoe,
weird.
Kai'Sa, Vlad, Lucian, who cares? Kalista as well as Tahm Kench.
Yeah.
Now if they don't blow the Kalista up...
Oh, what? Okay. This is... Look at Soulstrike's face. He's like, that's a Yasuo.
Yeah.
Okay, so Yasuo mid, Mundo top, Ornn bot, AD carry Ornn, by the way. Alistar support, Talia in the jungle. That's Chief's composition. Destiny's really bloody happy about it. And Kalista is a champion we have not seen for a very long time. Kalista Tahm Kench, pretty safe. You're trying to get her through and then...
Also very aggressive if he gets the Q. If you Q someone, throw the Tahm Kench at him, auto Q eat is a very good setup.
Yep. Tahm Kench does so much damage. Especially against a dashless AD carry.
So this is so smart because they're never team fighting this team. They're just going to 1-3-1 to the end of the days. If Ryoma does not get ahead of Mimic, Mimic will kill him in the side lane because that's what we saw out of Gangplank versus Yasuo. All of MSI. As soon as you got Sterix as well as Trinity Force, Yasuo died.
Yep.
this is a team comp that splits up a full tank lineup.
When I left my house to come cast to the studio today, this is what I expected.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we got it.
I'm such a skeptic, Brian.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I'm with you on that one. But every
That I'm a skeptic?
No,
or?
well, yes, both. I agree with you on your point, and that also you're a skeptic. But a lot of people, a lot of pro players across
Think
the
this
world
is the way to play.
have been playing this. This is the way to play the game. Obviously, you see it less in solo queue because it requires like synergy with your support. So
Coordination.
only duo players will be able to play it.
The other danger of this is also the fact that Mundo requires so heavily on his ultimate to be able to live through ganks early, and both Mimic and Only can pick up a 900 gold item that is going to shut that down consistently.
Yep.
And if Swiper falls behind, Mundo is, when he's ahead, he is the best tank in the game.
Yep.
He is actually
train.
unstoppable.
Yep.
And he does so much damage. Like, people underestimate how much damage Mundo gets from his E. If he can just sit on top of you and eat you and headbutt you and
Yeah,
stuff.
I love his crits like a headbutt,
Yeah.
right? Hell yeah.
However, if Mimic ever gets ahead in this matchup, he's just going to kill Swiper
gonna be-
over and over again.
When you're Mundo and you're cleavering your like CS under the turret time and time again, you know something in your lane has really gone wrong.
Yeah.
Also, nobody has a skin. So this isn't the skins they're using, but a Swiper is not using TPA Mundo. He's playing Mundo wrong. Straight
Okay.
up, that's it. Because it just makes a very loud like bonk when you hit people, and that's what you need when you play Mundo.
Certainly is. So we are onto Summoner's Rift and immediately go into a pause, Bryce. But it is going to be game one of OPL Classico. It's going to be the Chiefs taking on Legacy. Finally, we've seen what everyone was talking about. It's going to be the cheesiest cheese.
Yeah.
This is some Gouda that's being cooked up in an American basement somewhere.
I feel like cheese is a term that gets thrown around in League of Legends like way too
Yeah.
willingly. You're like, oh, I've been practicing. Well,
It's not
Urgot mid is like legit,
Yeah.
like a legitimate cheese, but people are like, oh man, they cheesed me at level 1. It's like, no, you
face
thought
checked
the
a
game
brush.
didn't start
Yeah.
until 1 minute 50, but actually it does, by the way. But this is like, yeah, this is the cheesiest cheese.
Yeah, it's like you, like, in a support meta with, like, Braum, Taric, Alistar, you're like, damn, they picked Janna. What
Yeah,
cheeses?
cheese
Like-
lords. Oh.
But I feel like Ornn Alistar is actual
that,
cheese.
That takes the cake.
Ornn
absolutely.
Alistar Mundo.
I like that this game we're just going to be watching bot lane. This is my it's my ideal.
But it's
My
how
ideal
are you
League of
going to break
Legends.
this down?
Because
Because we're really watching top lane. It just happens to be on the bottom side of the map.
I will let you know. I will leak this. I'm not too familiar in my Ornn Alistar like bot lane matchups. You know, that's
yeah,
a pretty
what's the
that's
combo?
that's a pretty specific sort of
Well, I feel like this comp
interaction.
actually relies a lot on Yasuo. I
Yeah.
feel like the reason you have Ornn, Alistar, Talia is like you're looking to get enough CC down that one of them hits like 3 members, and then Yasuo dives in and like does like a chunk of, and then he can die. Because these are like old school protect the 80 carry comps where Kog'Maw would like run at people, get like 90% of their health done, and then the tanks would take over. And it doesn't
clean it
matter
up.
if Kog'Maw died because the tanks would just absolutely destroy the last bit of health. So I feel like Ryoma's job is to get like 60% chunks done and then just give himself up to the gods of
'cause
League of
he doesn't have
Legends.
another carry. I guess Talia is effectively half a carry from the jungle. But if you break this down at like a very high level, right, like a very basic level, what do 80 carries bring? They bring like the consistent scaling DPS. So if this composition of Chiefs doesn't get ahead, if you get to like 50 minutes into a game, all of a sudden they're just severely lacking damage. They have triple tanks. You have a Ryze, you have a Gangplank, Kalista. All of these can
Not only that,
deal with them pretty well.
you don't have an exhaust, and Kalista is so quick, and there's no real like gap close after the initial one to get onto raid. And Kallista's so good at dealing with this kind of thing.
Mimic's going to face check this, but Bippy's here.
He's going to have to burn the flash. He will have to go over the wall. Does go for it. That's a
proc?
Thunderlord proc. No, it's not. What's it called now? Electrocute.
It's basically Thunderlords. It's just red Thunderlords. Oh,
Is he going to have
it's
to?
red Thunderlords.
Yeah. Is he going to have to teleport back?
I feel like he will. The wave is definitely going to meet because you're level 1, so the fountain doesn't actually heal you all that much. He also almost doesn't get to full HP. But, of course, Babup is starting on the top side of the map so that his double melee bot lane does not have to leap. They will get access to the lane first, which is pretty big when you're at a range versus melee differential.
Is it though? Because now what happens? So you taught me this.
Okay.
Is when double relic shield was like actually a thing when Mord and stuff was playing. So what will happen now is if they use their double relic shield too early, it will push in. They will get off level 1 for free. If they don't make it hit turret, as only actually going to go for an invade and get spotted out by the Bip, so we'll have to dash away. So if this doesn't hit turret, then it will park until level 3, and then all advantage of double relic is gone from the raised Destiny lane.
But it's based on the jungle matchup. If the jungler can influence, if Babip can come down here, then they'll be absolutely fine. Of course, we see the state of the lane now. It is actually pushing for Legacy.
So I would argue this is better for the Chiefs, because now they get to do that, and the CC setup will be available, and then they're going to have to run down a very long lane.
But the caveat to that whole thing is that if you mess up the push, if you over push too close to the turret but it doesn't crash, that is the absolute worst case scenario, especially for a double melee. Even in an 80 carry support matchup, a lot of people that start in lane when their opponents don't just try and shove it in all the way, and then the second wave crashes and you're standing outside a turret, as you mentioned. That's an absolute disaster. So
the one thing I will say about this, because I've played a lot more double, I feel like out of everyone in this, I'm more experienced with cheesy bottom lanes than most people.
You're a disgusting full AP alley player.
So Destiny will get a lot. Oh, actually, Claire going to be able to get lots of damage. Will have to burn the flash, and actually he's going to fall down. That is the new Ignite, and it will just tick him away. First blood picked up for Yasuo, and now only goes in. Will also get chunked out here, and Babip's still looking for it. He's going to have to collect mid lane farm here, because it will crash.
Ryoma, way too cool to look at explosions. Just fade away Ignite, kills Claire. He does have TP, so we'll lose a few creeps under the turret, but that's 17 CS to 8, and he lost his flash already early. Taliyah jungle just has so much priority. You've seen him already twice chase out only. Once at his race, and then pushed him out again.
As well.
Oh, this is a flank.
Yeah, very nicely done from Babip, looking for the flick. Will not be able to land it. However, going to chase only off 2 camps, will be able to get the big Raptor. However, with Yasuo back in base, will not be able to get anything else.
And Raptors do so much damage. Only had to just stand in the bush tanking it, because he's like, look, I needed a night vision. I can't let them see me. Of course, there was a ward in the bush. They could anyway, but he's just standing there tanking the Raptors. Gets almost to a quarter HP. That flick did land. That was a easy kill. So Chiefs very early in this game asserting their dominance. We take a look at bot lane. They're 3 CS behind, so pretty even. We're only at level 3. This is the point where Ali actually comes online. Old Alistar, you're like level 2 combo? Hell yeah. New Alistar, it's all about being able to proc the E. So has reached that point relatively unscathed.
Also does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
People underestimate the damage from E early on in the game. I think it's like 120 if you get full duration, which with Headbutt Pole you should get close to.
Yep, unless they flash, you're basically on top of them.
Yep. See across the rest of the map, Swiper able to get the shove in on Mimic early. You have to wonder how much of that was to do with the fact that he got chunked out and has to let the wave push into him.
And that's the thing. Getting an early reset, but is at a good time to be able to pick up Sheen. Of course, his TP will be coming out fairly soon. But if that is mismatch, it's a pretty big deal for a Gangplank player.
So far, bottom lane has just been catching waves in front of their turret, which is what I expected to see. I expect this lane potentially at level 6 should turn around. Especially given now top lane will have a... Ooh, Swiper actually goes aggressive.
Yeah.
Has teleport. I like actually that aggression. However, now only here doesn't have red buff. Nice cleaver from Big Swift.
Very nice. Just going to push him away. Only does show on the map right now.
Oh, you're in trouble.
That misses decoy. Can he get onto him? Does full proc the passive, but can't close the distance.
Didn't know where Taliyah was, so they didn't want to chase too far into that brush. You can see no vision at all.
Oh,
however,
that's the knock-up.
That is the
How long
knock-up.
an alley combo? It's up.
We'll be able to get Headbutt Pulse, so now they will have to eat and walk out. You can see that meanwhile, Babip is around the wall, and now, all of a sudden, you're in trouble. Blast plant over, and Decoy now has to get away. Flash will be burnt. However, Babip coming down into this bottom lane.
Legacy looking to answer in the mid lane. Clay gets the root. Only once again can't get into the fight. That's top and mid that have both been unsuccessful.
Yeah, but now you can see Only is just so far behind Babip that he has no business being able to challenge the 2v2. And this has always been the key to the Chiefs' strength early game, in my opinion. If you can challenge their mid lane and jungler, then you're going to be able to have access to the map. At this point in time, Only has not been able to do that.
Absolutely not. We see the Taliyah actually just rush straight Sork through. Wants to be able to do a hell of a ton of damage.
To be able to do mid as well.
Gives you the move speed, because of course the buffs on this patch, we have to talk about it. Like, her AoE got nerfed, of course, so you see her drop out of the mid lane, but she got 15 base move speed, which is enormous. And then the cooldown on her passive, which is the rock surfer, so when you go near a wall, you get to zoom around real quick on a cool little rock. That went from 5 seconds to 2, so moving around the jungle already is just so incredibly quick. So picking up the boots, picking up the hunter's potion so she can stay out on the map longer. He can just zoom around and do basically whatever he wants.
So far, bottom lane, you see about a 14 CS lead picked up for Raiden and Decoy. However, Destiny going to have much more gold. That's probably where a lot of this advantage is. First blood plus the gold that Destiny would have picked up, 11 more. It's only 200 actually, so it's not all that much.
I mean, we're only 7 minutes into the game, and the thing about Relic Shield on an AD carry is that they have to CS everything. So you don't really get to choose, bar a few very specific situations, like which creep you're going to proc the Relic on. Whereas the support's like, haha, thank you, I want the cannon. Which he does right there, Dematerializer. But interesting that we haven't noted, of course, Ryoma on the Yasuo doesn't use mana. So lends itself very well to the Talia.
Okay,
of course,
yep.
you can ulti off her flick, but it means that she can just eat every blue buff, and you're absolutely fine with that.
Good point, I like it. Only, however, we'll have to give this one over to Claire. And he's gone Hunter's Potion as well, so this Talia is actually going to be able to stay on the map for as long as he wants.
Yep. Pick up his red buff as well. This bot lane now being shoved in. I like that Raid went for the boot start, like straight full upgrade to Berserker Trees. Wants that extra hop distance. Wants the move speed to be able to keep himself away from the alley.
I think that's very smart. I think also the fact that Callista scales inarguably better with attack speed than any form of AD also lends itself to this build a lot. You can see they'll go back. This time, oh, Infernal Drake. Make sure that when it goes down, guys.
Free little brand skin. But it's the first one we've seen.
Oh, it's Swiper top lane. Will get Flash taken down, and Mimic without Flash, without TP level 1, still takes down Big Swips.
That should not be happening in this situation. Down 10 CS as well, just been shoved in the entirety of this game. Gets a 1v1 kill onto the Rock and the top Chiefs. Swiper falls down. All of a sudden, Mimic's looking in form.
Yeah, win condition starts ringing a bell. And people would be having flashbacks to... actually, we'll take a look how it happens.
He just overextended. The slow still lands from the Gangplank ulti. Very, very easy flash Q with the Sheen Proc. Picks him up. That's a big engage.
That is going to be
Tahm Kench,
no flash from Tahm Kench. However, gets pulled out. And that will be the ultimate use from Babip, but not much else.
And that's the thing about this lane. If you go on Callista, Tahm Kench is going to eat it. You go on Tahm Kench, Callista's going to pick him up. But that is a pretty lengthy cooldown right now. Ultimate was burnt from Raze, so they do expend something, but this might just give them priority onto the Dragon. And you see, we know only's on the top side of the map. Isn't on any vision right now, but Chiefs have complete control over this side.
Well, not only that, Talia does Dragon so damn quick. You'd be looking at that saying it's a risky Dragon. Even if she was there by herself, she would do it very quick. That will be the first Infernal hint, Dragon hint picked up for this game.
We've got 10 minutes, by the way. Hurry it up, put your details in. Ray's just going to buy himself a little bit of an item. As all of a sudden, with no flash on Tahm Kench, but no flash on Callista, sure they're ranged, but you can't auto-attack. Because if you auto-attack the Alistar, he's in combo range.
But you already said to me, and this is you, I quote, that if this gets late game and Callista is relatively even, they're not going to have the consistent damage.
I agree.
And
we're 10 minutes into the game.
Relatively even. Does this game does it get all that much harder though? I can't see this lane getting hard enough. As actually, that's a very nice gang top. Mimic will fall down. Teleport has to be cancelled.
TP burnt and cancelled as well. So Claire dying early, TPing back to lane. Burns his TP again, so struggling to find a avenue onto the map. 20 CS lead has been built by Yasuo.
You can
That's
see
a very nice
yeah, very nice chunk goes down onto Raze as well in the bottom lane.
But he still has his TP. Of course, we see almost every AD carry on his got to be called an AD carry.
Top lane turret's going to fall down.
That's first brick.
It's a big advantage right there for the Chiefs.
Absolutely.
Swiper gold.
Falls down 1v1. Immediately gets the bailout from Babip, who's honestly been all over the map this game. Is now behind Graves, but has been ganking multiple lanes here, so has had a huge impact on the map. And Claire looking for something. Ryoma.
Yeah, has to actually burn the flash there, Claire. Ryoma, very nice mechanics on the Yasuo, dashing through, holding that Q.
And this is 5 members of the Chiefs walking to the mid lane. 75% on the turret. Claire has absolutely no summoners. Decoy and Raid are going to be about 5 seconds away, even with the Abyssal Voyage.
I mean, I don't think they should rotate at this stage. I think they just duck into Fog of War. Chiefs do that to negate the bottom lane push because they wouldn't have been able to do it as a duo. Not enough wave clear, so I think that's a very smart play out of the Chiefs.
And it makes a lot of sense because if Legacy misplay, if Legacy do not leave, if they try to trade 1-for-1, Raze just sounds the horn. All of a sudden, flashless Rise goes down the mid lane, easy single turret. Potential to get onto the second one there, but of course, Legacy react, cheat into Fog as you mentioned, and get rid of the threat from that one.
Absolutely, so Chiefs still up by 2,000 gold, still having a terrific early game. I think a lot of it has to do with Babip's Talia is showing off that new champion in the jungle, I guess.
It's a new jungler.
Yeah.
A new jungler. Bit of a Bit of a roam around the map. Destiny got himself the classic Moby boots. Spots himself a Kicky Graze in the jungle, but trying to open up the map with this composition.
Oh,
Raze.
meanwhile, bottom lane
Might just
Raze
be
in a little bit of trouble. Has to burn the flash. Very nice ultimate out of Decoy there.
Lots of pings going down onto the ward right now. Potentially looking for a bit of a flank. Missing pings going onto Swiper in the top lane. Legacy know there's a ward behind them. They know, but...
Meanwhile, mid lane, that's going to be Claire again, trying to run away top speed. Will get flashed on and fall down. Meanwhile, that's a TP used by Raze and misses the ultimate. This is why 80 carries shouldn't be playing on. You hate to see it, Bryce.
And I guarantee you, 80 carries are the guy that look at top laners, miss it. They're like, man, like top laners don't have mechanics. What's going on, Raze?
Oh, Decoy going to face check Destiny. Will get headbutted back into the wall. Will get stunned up. Will get ripped out, however. Very nicely done. Mid lane turret, however, should fall down.
They have 17 tanks, so being able to tank this one for a solid 5 seconds is going to be fine for the Chiefs.
So now it's a 4,000 gold lead picked up for the Chiefs. See you around Summoner's Rift.
And this is what you expect, though. You expect this composition to take over the game early, and Legacy want to play it slow. It's about stemming the bleeding, being able to farm up on their carries. They have Gangplank, they have Rise, they have Callista. Once they get to late game, they will be fine, but it's about how little they can fall behind and what control can they hold on to the on the map. And Rift Herald going to do wonders for Legacy. Or Chiefs, rather.
Bottom lane will be picked up right now for Legacy. You see ward will be dropped. However, this Talia is starting to really get ahead. You can see up 3 camps, has been absolutely everywhere on the map, only really has had no impact. He's up 1,100 gold. So of the 2,500, 1,000 of it is jungle, and 1,400 of it is mid lane.
That's a big lead. Big lead for
In fact, the only positions not up are the OP double tank bottom lane.
Hey, he's got more gold. Destiny's got more gold, you know?
Certainly does.
Got a cheeky few relic shields every now and again, but as you mentioned, yeah, Ornn. I mean, his build's not as expensive as a Callista, so falling behind doesn't matter too much. Banner of Command I want to talk about for a little bit, because I love the change going from, hey, Kennen, hey, Rumble, you don't get to play the game anymore.
Yep.
I love that it went from like, hey, everyone, this kind of sucks a little bit. Obviously, the number did get nerfed in this patch, went from 70 to 40%, so it is being tweaked, trying to get to a point of balance, but we haven't seen it at all today. This is the first Banner of Command we've seen.
Bottom lane, going to see once again a Decoy ultimate come out to try and save this turret. Talia is kind of flirting with the idea of being able to get behind. You can see why they would have thought that Graves would be good into Talia, because every time that flick comes out, you just dash off it.
But all of a sudden, 3 members of Legacy stuck to the mid lane, try and deal with this one.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that whilst it still seems to be slightly strong, it's in the right path to getting back towards the balanced item.
It's a problem that mid lane Karma is like, hey guys, I'm just going to build a banner first item and just shove in a mid laner, and you're just tied there with not a whole lot of counterplay. Sure, you can take Dematerializer and eat it up, but that invests into the inspiration tree. But I like that everyone gets less damage to it, but obviously the number's still being tweaked.
Yeah, everyone hates it equally now.
Yeah, rather than
certain
top laners are just
out of the pack.
unplayable. Swiper. Floating with danger, but Blast Cone's over the wall. Ryoma, 2-0-0, has his Phantom Dancer.
Very strong.
Very strong. Able to take this one down. Infernal Drake number 2.
It's important to note, however, that Ryoma most likely will not get towards 100% crit. So 30% will come out from the Phantom Dancer. That will be doubled because Yasuo is passive, but then IE will give him true damage, which will go along to the Conqueror, making him deal with the tanks very well, but there aren't any. So that double crit damage that used to make Yasuo absurd when he got to 100% crit off those 2 items will not be there.
Chiefs are opting in to place the Rift Herald bot lane, but you have to think they're actually going to use this to go mid. They place it, they want to tie Mimic down. Sure, he can ultimate, he has that global pressure. But multiple members rotating. Banner of Command in the mid lane. Swiper coming from top as well. This is all 5 members of Chiefs potentially collapsing, but no, they're just going back for Mimic.
Yeah, they certainly are. I think this is a mistake. The choke point is going to be there, and they're coming over. Ultimate will be dropped. They turn it around. However, Claire takes so much damage on the back end. Pavit falls down, but Ryoma still looking for it. You can see Mimic still looking to fight, but the tanks have now joined the fray. Ryoma still going to survive, and Claire is now stuck on the wrong side of the map. Only is bailing out, but will get knocked up. No, he will not. Will be able to survive, however, for how long, as Swiper is now looking to chase him down, and that damage coming out is so gross.
And Legacy sort of baited into a false sense of security there. They had 3 members to the 2, but Chiefs, as we mentioned, had the priority from mid lane. Swiper already rotating down. Sure, they get the initial pick onto Babip, but too many members of Chiefs collapsing.
And once again, I think this is Legacy getting a bit impatient. They should have taken this as they've just wasted all of their tempo around Summoner's Rift, but they don't.
Yeah, absolutely. This composition relies on hitting your ultimates. You have the Ornn, you have the knockups for the Yasuo to get in there to win a team fight and take over the game, and Legacy just give it to them with this. Kalista can't get here. Tahm Kench can't get here. His ulti is available, but you don't want to be flanking behind multiple tanks when your carries are already dead.
They were also defending mid lane turret. I mean, they should have been able to defend the 2 turrets. As we said, wait it out. The scaling should be on your side. You have all the range advantages you want. Instead, they pull the trigger and they fall down.
Second banner of command is picked up by Swiper, so comparative to the first set of games we saw today, very different style.
We're playing different games right now.
We saw very standard AD carry play. We didn't see banner of command at all. All of a sudden, mega tanks and a Yasuo coming out. Want to put pressure all across the map, and obviously Riot likes this patch more because Chiefs have been given 2 Infernal Drakes as well.
You see Swiper with that banned up minion will be able to push in, should be able to take down this pink ward as well. It's in the middle of the lane, so they know exactly where everything is. And the problem right now, if you're a Legacy fan, is that Chiefs are farming all 3 waves, whereas Legacy at one point are only ever getting access to 2.
And look at the CS difference in the top lane. That's a Mundo versus a Gangplank, and he's 50 CS up. Mimic did just get picked on in the bottom lane, lost a big wave under his turret, but that lead is only growing, sitting on 2 items completed for the Mundo to the 1 for the Gangplank, who has a more expensive build anyway. Sure, he scales better, but Swiper significantly further ahead at this stage of the game.
And this game now comes down to Raid. He needs to be able to pick himself up a Hurricane, probably needs to be able to pick himself up a Lord Dominic's as well, and be able to do maximum damage versus these tanks.
And this is what we were talking about. Look at the CC out of the Chiefs. You have knockups out of the Ornn, you have knockups out of the alley. Ryoma, sure, he wants the knockups as well. Talia has the flick. There's no real hard CC that you're like, oh, I want to build a QSS for and then I'm fine, right? Like I have one thing. It's all very difficult to deal with. And especially as he's the one member that's like equal or ahead, he is 40 CS up, kind of matching Swiper's lead in the top lane. He's going to be the carry that has to be dealing all the damage. And it's very difficult for him.
And they're going to start the fight here. That will be the big knock up there. And they blow up everyone. You can see the Chiefs just streaming underneath their turret. Legacy step too far forward and Mimic will fall down. Claire now tries to take the fight, but Ryoma will clean him up as well. That is the ace, and that is a base broken.
And Raze is popping off. Chiefs in classic Chiefs fashion. Pull the trigger instantly. Multiple flashes, multiple CC. Gets onto the carries of Legacy. That's the inhibitor. They're looking for more.
Yeah, absolutely. They're looking to see if they can push and end the game. There's still 22 seconds on the mid laner, and with all the tanks, they can protect the banned up minion. There's another banner coming out as well. They wall them in, and that is going to be Decoy flashing over, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. The wall comes down, and the Chiefs will be able to pick up game 1.
That was a pre-20-minute base break, and they just ended the game.
That was a shellacking.
That was a shellacking.
Asian 4.
There you go. And that's what we've been thinking about. That's the composition. That's the type of bot lane that everyone's complaining about. And that was the perfect setup and the perfect execution from the Chiefs.
Yeah, it certainly was. But at the same time, I'm going to go back to how much of it was the bottom lane and how much was it the Yasuo-Talia combo destroying the mid-jungle duo. Only was a non-factor that game, and Claire had a shocker.
That is true. Absolutely true. Only coming in first game with Legacy. Had the Graves, of course, Talia, super high priority counter pick, but Bip gets that into his hands and then only just didn't have an answer. Influencing like every lane very early on into the game, and yeah, just ran over it, to be honest.
Yeah, completely agree. Meanwhile, Mundo top is a pick that I actually think worked out very well. Fell down early to that kill, which shouldn't have happened. But after that point, Swiper was just having control over the rest of Summoner's Rift. Did a very nice job of controlling it. And the chase that comes out of Mundo, as we said, once he gets ahead, is just unstoppable.
Yeah, and it's not even like just Mundo, it's just tanks in general. If you're Legacy and your carries fall behind, that obviously means the tanks fall ahead because they get the gold, right? And like it very quickly goes from a place where, oh, like I'm dealing a little bit of damage, but they're tanking and it's fine, to, oh, I just don't do damage.
Yep.
And that's exactly what that team fight was. Like Swiper was sitting on 2 items, Mimics on 1. And it was like that across the board, except for Raid. But he was caught in the CC chain. He got eaten by the Tahm Kench immediately, who was then knocked up. And then they had the alley as well, flashed in from Destiny. So there was just so much CC and just no way for Legacy to fight back.
Yeah, it certainly was. And it looks like that right now they've just kind of swapped where the carry potential is. You know, we used to see Zach Zac jungle. We used to see Gragas jungle. The big CC would come from that position. This time around, we see a high damage threat in the jungle. So like all things, they build a comp that has CC in other areas. So whilst it does seem strange when they're lining up on Summoner's Rift, this was still 3 tanks, 2 damage sources, which we've seen plenty in League of Legends.
And that's just how League of Legends is. You need the front line and you need the damage to back it up. And sure, it is in very, very weird locations. Like, look at AD carries like Varus and Archie. Like, yeah, you have CC utility AD carries. All of a sudden, Ornn is thrown into the mix, and it's I don't know how I feel about that one, but it was very successful.
Yeah, it certainly was. So game 1 goes to the unique Chiefs comp. However, don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to throw it over the analyst hangout after these quick highlights.
Drop. They turn it around. However, Claire takes so much damage on the back end. Pavit falls down, but Ryoma still looking for it. You can see Mimic still looking to fight, but the tanks have now joined the fray. Ryoma still going to survive, and Claire is now stuck on the wrong side of the map. Only is bailing out, but will get knocked up. No, he will not. Will be able to survive, however, for how long, as Swiper is now looking to chase him down, and that damage coming out is so gross. Yeah, that will be the big knock up there, and they blow up everyone. You can see the Chiefs just streaming underneath the turret. Legacy step too far forward, and Mimic will fall down. Claire now tries to take the fight, but Ryoma will clean him up as well. That is the ace, and that is the base broken. Absolutely, they're looking to see if they can push and end the game. There's still 22 seconds on the mid laner, and with all the tanks, they can protect the banner minion. There's another banner coming out as well. They wall them in, and that is going to be Decoy flashing over, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. The wall comes down, and the Chiefs will be able to pick up game 1.
What a stomp. What a game. Dude, what went wrong for Legacy?
I mean, Chiefs, I love the draft. This is like what Spawn was talking about. The meta shifted away from AD